Alright, I think I'm recording. I believe so. Anyway, it's me again. Hi. Anyway, yeah, making a video. Thunderfoot and the group, whatever, the Thundercats, you know, whatever. DPR Jones and whatever, Colostomy, something, whatever his fucking name is. Anyway, whatever the League of Reason guys, whatever the sandwich, that's it, Magic Sandwich Joe. So I watched some of that. I saw the beginning ones, and they were sort of boring. Then I saw the last one, which was a little better. There's some Christian nut was, you know, playing with them. He's not even a Christian nut. He's an atheist nut who doesn't know what to do with himself. And he's basically demanding atheists to prove the non-existence of God. And he's basically saying that it's still faith. It's just faith that there is no God. That it's not somehow a more substantial, more credible belief system to not believe than to believe. That somehow they're equal. That you just eeny, meeny, miny, mo, because it's way too confusing, because there's no proof of God, and there's no proof that there isn't a God. And you're just like, well, they should have made Mitzinik out of this guy. But it is, you know, when you have to think on your feet, you can get tangled up in bullshit, and you can lose sight of the obvious. And the obvious is that all, you know, statements have to be tried. You have to go to court, essentially, the court of logic and reason and reasonability. And they have to be judged in that court. And they'll either be judged beyond reasonable contention, some kind of rhetoric like that. This theory is beyond reasonable contention. The only kind of way you could contend with that truth is to contrive or cook up something for which there is no evidence. It's just some sort of preposterous nonsense where you create a nonsense variable, a nonsense Martian who cut OJ's wife's heads off. No evidence of it, just make it up. And so it's a nonsense variable. And so at minimum, the requirement is that when you go to court, the court of rational human, you can't bring up nonsense variables. So in the trial of, is there a God, you get to trial and you say, okay, where's the evidence? And they say, people believe it. Well, sorry, that evidence is useless. Sorry, we'll have to explain to you, but you see, people are unreliable witnesses, preposterously unreliable witnesses. Can't trust a motherfucking thing they say. So you can't go anywhere with that. And you have the evidence right in front of you in that, you know, for every group of people, segregate some people over there, they'll come up with their own theory, their own preposterous God who, you know, not incidentally look like them and think like them and like what they like and build a heaven out of the stuff they like and all of that crap. And, gee, what a coincidence that just happens to be what God does. Wherever you go, God changes to suit your circumstances. But anyway, I don't need to, so here's the fact that we have to try. All right, the underlying fact that they're building it on is God is popular. The idea of God is popular. Well, like I said, if you do the trial on the idea that God is popular, you'll find out that that doesn't mean anything. Absolutely useless. It's non-evidence. Throw it out. Can't be used. It's so irrelevant that it almost insults the word irrelevant to call it irrelevant. It's so irrelevant. So what else you got? No, that's it. That's all they got. All they got is people fell for it. You know, buying the Brooklyn Bridge is a good idea because lots of people did it. Yeah, no, sorry. Owning a pet rock is rational because a lot of people did it. No, doesn't work. So yeah, it's gone. It's failed. All right, so we have no trial for the truth of the existence of God. We have nothing. They failed. Completely dismal. Nothing. They have no right to say it any more than I have a right to say Bugs Bunny is king of the universe. It's just as preposterous. Doesn't mean anything. I say it. Saying it doesn't make it so. Writing it in a book doesn't make it so. The Bible, the religion, the theory of God has no foundation. All right, so then you might argue, though, they'll say, well, how did the world get here? Well, you can clearly argue, well, it didn't get here because God got born, you know, and made it. It sure as hell didn't get here that way, did it? So, you know, that one gets beaten up just because, yeah, as soon as you argue about you need some kind of creator, well, then you have to have a creator for your creator, don't you? That's right. So that ain't going to work. So another fail, bad logic, unreasonable, doesn't pass the test, can be counter-argued into the ground. All right, now we have the theory of no God. So, I've got to move this along. I might speed these videos up, by the way. Offer the choice of a faster MP3, maybe. Something like that. Anyway, I haven't got it figured out yet. All right, so now we got the there is no God theory. Well, the first bit of evidence in the speculation is the idea of God is just a human invention. Human egos, they want to believe one. They make one up because they want it. And because they were ignorant and they didn't have an explanation for thunder, lightning, tornadoes, hurricanes, so earthquakes, so they made up a God, an angry God, a God demanding them to be better than they are, blah, 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 blah. It's so obvious basic psychology. So yeah, the concept itself is kind of just ludicrous. So now what other evidence we got? Well, we got evolution. Seems quite obvious that matter's just condensating, that it's becoming more elaborate. The more time you give it, the more stuff sticks together, the more little experiments that take place, the more little nuance there is, and yeah, eventually you can have pretty complicated little machines bobbing about if they're given enough time and they don't get irradiated or blown up or burned up or whatever. That seems really reasonable. I don't think there's an alternative theory to that one. Let me see. Nope, no rational alternative theory to that. It makes perfectly sense, perfectly consistent with all the scientific evidence. Not one bit of evidence indicates something else. Slam dunk. We evolved unintelligent design. I won't go into all the biology, but we can bring that into as witnesses. We can bring in the geologists and the biologists and all these people to explain to you, yep, just physics, just chemistry, just biology, nothing else. Just the mechanism. What else we got as evidence for the non-existence of the deity? Oh, that's right, creation itself is so fucking stupid. Life doesn't have the three most obvious things that intelligence likes. Intelligence likes honesty. It doesn't like being fucked with. It doesn't like being fooled. Intelligence says, fuck you, why are you fooling me? I don't like it. All right? Intelligence doesn't like being patronized. The second thing intelligence would do, it would understand fairness. Fairness is just a basic idea, basic concept. And justice. So just the two are tied together, really, one and two. And so where's the fairness and justice in the system? Oh, there isn't any. That's right. It's completely idiotic. If you're a North American Indian, you go to hell because no one told you Jeebus exists. Does that make any sense? No. Any close to anything like sense? No. So fuck that. Well, you give all women pain in childbirth. Does that make any sense? No. Is that justice? No. So, you know, gods fail all over the place in terms of applying justice in the real world. There's no justice here. Good is eaten up by bad every fucking day. The evil win every fucking day. You know, obvious. And fairness, even humans laugh at the idea of fairness. That's how preposterously unfair the world is, that even the humans with a brain can't figure out fairness would be a good idea. So yeah, what God would create this imbecile, idiotic, jackalous, fuckwit world where the bad guys win. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I think that's called retarded. So yeah, there was a proof of the unintelligent design is all over the place. So you just can't make the argument that intelligence could be behind the universe, because intelligence, even us, with our minimal intelligence, understands rationally that the sign of intelligence is the expression of humanity, of a humanitarian attitude, of not wasting suffering. That's the last thing an intelligence wants to see happen, is the waste of pain or suffering. It's smart enough to know that that's the value here. You don't squander it, you don't waste it, it's precious. And obviously, the creator of this has no clue. He doesn't give a rat's ass about how much suffering goes on. So it is quite obvious the creator is chemistry. This chemistry is dumb. Just the forces, just little bits of matter propelled into motion. No rationality, no intention, no purpose. Just forces, just process. That's all it has. All it has is process. It doesn't have any theory. So anyway, but that's how you approach these things. These are the difference between atheism and theism is rationality, reason, reasonableness. The theory that there is no God is infinitely, really, profoundly more reasonable a theory than the silly theory that God done it. That's a really idiotic theory. Now God did it. Or God wished it if he did. Yeah. Pump's not working. I have to go look into that. My supervision and such. Yeah. Anyway, till next time. See if I add on or not. See how the things go and whatnot. We'll see. And such and so forth.